All right, welcome to the LEC post-game lobby after Week 6. I'm Dracos, joined by Yamato, and soon Vitality's Cabochard. Before Cabo gets here, let's talk about the week a little bit. I'd say an odd week of League of Legends. I would say some less than inspiring performances, some messy games, some slow games.
It's kind of weird because I felt like this week was a week of games of what I expected at the beginning of the split in terms of what teams we have. Like Fnatic managing to win with wonky drafts, just playing better. And then, of course, G2 playing like a G2, you know? So it's it feels like the dust is finally settling, you know? That's fun.
I like it too, because I think the uncertainty of best of one is really enjoyable.
Yeah.
But as we get into these later weeks, I do kind of want to see our top teams shape up, because my concern goes from how crazy are these games going to be to how the heck are we going to get anything done at international competition if our games are absolute disasters. And the whole kind of games today were an interesting back and forth. I think sadly today what I saw a lot of were like small mechanical mistakes, which I think were a little bit concerning as we move later into the split. We saw the mistimed Taric ultimates when, for the record, Taric's ult channel time is 2.5 seconds. Karthus's is 3. So as long as you push the button, everything is fine.
Oh, you mean the Kazi situation?
Yeah, it was Kaiser.
I thought he walked out. Or didn't Kazi walk out?
Maybe Kazi walked out.
Maybe I remember wrong. That doesn't matter. I think it's weird because
Mechanical mistake either way.
Yeah,
We'll figure out which one on the replay.
it's like the rookie thing. It's almost as if it was so easy to forget that these guys are rookies because like there were
100%.
supports and junglers that were playing so well, and now we see those tendencies kind of show up, and it kind of makes sense, you know?
Yeah.
It's so weird about Week 6. Like things.
This is always
Makes
the point.
sense.
Yeah, this is always the point in the split where like you kind of come to that realization. Things slow down a bit, and I think you get to see everything for what it is. I think Razork continues to be a guy that stands out to me.
Yeah.
I think has continuing to stay strong, whereas a lot of the rookies that I was initially hyped on, I think that we were initially hyped on, are starting to show kind of some of the weaknesses in the armor. Not to hark on Mad Lions too much, but when we were predicting on Euphoria, I was on the Carzy train, you were on the Shadow train, and now I think we're both going to be kicking ourselves that we weren't on the Razork train.
Yeah, he played Olaf today, not Lee Sin, and it looked also wonky. You know, it was strange because I felt like that game, it was still based off a draft, the XL game. There was like the trash pick into Taric, I think, was a really key one. Like they found too much confidence in the Kalista Taric. Kaiser was on the full-on Taric train, but I'm still rather excited for Kaiser and Shadow in general.
Yeah, I want to see kind of the depth of what they can provide increase, I guess is the easiest way to say it. I think that Shadow on the Lee Sin has been beautiful, and I want to see that same level of performance. And it's one of those games that I hope people don't attribute too many negatives to, because while there were those hiccups, also beautiful level 1, really made the entire game pretty easy once they got the ball rolling.
That's true, that's true.
A constant reminder that Olaf's a champion that I hate, that I think he's useless. How's it going, man? Welcome.
Hey, Dracos.
I'm going to be honest, we were buying time for you to get here. They're just talking about the week.
Talking random stuff.
Yeah, I was wondering if you are live or not, actually.
No, you're good. You're good.
The Euphoria episode.
Yeah, absolutely. Cabo, but you're kind of the man that we want to talk to today, because it's the middle of the season. Now, last time I think I got to talk to you, it was much brighter times.
Yeah.
So I'm curious just kind of about everything that's going on right now with the team and your take on it, man.
I mean, yeah, it's a lot of rough games. Like this kind of games, we're just basically getting slaughtered. We don't actually do anything. And I think our biggest problem right now is probably confidence. We don't actually like look to get plays where actually this game we did a dive, and like sometimes we go for plays, but just we are not like seizing the opportunities when we can, when we have the upper hand, for example, and when they do, they make sure they get the point like in. So I think this like we are 1-11, so the split is kind of done for us. I think right now it's about going for summer, make sure we end on a better note and make the dynamic like good for the start of summer split.
I can imagine like with like I've been in a similar spot. It's always with the losses stacking up. Do you think the confidence thing is the thing that is in the way, or do you think there are key gameplay issues that you need to address as well?
I mean, for sure, we wouldn't end up 1-11 if we like not making gameplay mistakes. I'm certain I'm surrounded by like very talented individuals, but we are actually not making anything together. Like, so many times that's a problem. I think as well we had other expectations going in the split, and as like when the loss was stacking up, like it made like some kind of vicious circles. Like you lose, so you lose confidence, but that makes you make less plays, so you lose more games, and it just keeps on going. So at some point we had to like reset the mindset and try to try new things. I think it's the point we're at. I think last week, and now we're trying things.
For sure. I noticed one thing with your games. I think the key difference between you guys and, like, for example, the Schalke in the beginning was it was always, like, I remember you guys were one game, you had the Pantheon, the Camille, Elise, you're set up for the dive, and then there's like one thing going wrong. Then there was one game, you guys are diving bottom, one thing going wrong. Was there ever like a point where you guys thought, okay, we're going to focus on this playstyle only and figure that out, or did you try out different things always?
Yeah, we tried that for a bit, actually. I mean, the week we came in with the Camille Pantheon Elise, we practiced that for the whole week, and it was going very well in scrims. So at that point, we were like, okay, we see growth in scrim at this point, and we know we can try to put it on stage, but it didn't work. And then after this was like, okay, let's shift and try something else. And in the end, yeah, we tried. But as you said, there is this one little thing. Like there are games, for example, yesterday or the Excel games where we actually have a good early game. We come out ahead, and then we try to make rotations. But yeah, one little thing goes wrong. They catch one more wave than us. They are one play faster, and then we lose 1 tower, 2 towers, and
I mean, you talk about that vicious cycle, and I feel for that because that just sounds so brutal to deal with. And I'm curious for you because, like, you're the veteran. You're like the guy who's supposed to be, I feel like, supposed to be level-headed, supposed to be controlled. Now, I don't know. I didn't get to see behind the scenes back in old Vitality. I don't get to see back behind the scenes in new Vitality. Do you feel like burden as like the veteran player? Do you see yourself as kind of a leader on this team? How does this affect you individually?
I mean, I don't think the leadership role gets you start as a leader in a group, for example. I think it's a process that, for example, in the Vitality we went through. It's like this split, you grow into a leader, let's say. So I didn't take this role at the start, and it's not how I saw myself in this dynamic, at least. Yeah, basically.
Okay.
Interesting. And then I'm curious kind of like how these games play out, because you talk about the rotations kind of going south. Do you feel like you're like, okay, we got the good early game, solid early game versus Excel, things break down, you mentioned rotations. Do you just feel like it goes back to that confidence thing, that people aren't comfortable enough making plays, or is it just that there's too many small mistakes that by the time any play comes to fruition, it's not what you intended?
Yeah. I think there are these mistakes, and at the same time, I feel like right now we are not going for the creative plays or the plays that could go wrong, but it has been going wrong so many times before for us already that we have some kind of PTSD that makes us not go for them anymore at all. And so that's why so many games we don't do that much. Like, for example, this game, I mean, they were getting our inhibitor at like 15 minutes, and then we got a good few fights, but they were just playing with the foot pretty much. So.
I think, I've been in a similar spot, and I know in the past, team situations.
It's funny every time you say that because you guys have worked together for so long.
I mean, you haven't been in the 1-11 spot.
Honestly, there was the Splice days. I was in relegations. My first team, I got auto-relegated. It's crazy because I think it's easy as a viewer, and sometimes even on the analyst desk, to forget that all the teams are working so freaking hard.
Yeah.
So freaking hard. You're putting everything into it, and the only thing you got to show for it is what on the scoreboard. But in the end, I think it's important to highlight that, because I know for a fact we're sitting here. I know you're busting your ass every single day,
Yeah, but I think it really goes back to this thing I said, that it doesn't, like, if it clicks and suddenly it can go. I mean, for example, the game when we went at Worlds, we didn't go into the world game with that many scrim games, but one game went right, and then suddenly it goes in the right direction for the next few weeks, and then you have the right dynamic to grow together and look for these things together.
I think that sounds kind of even more difficult than being able to identify like 1 or 2 small problems, because it seems like you're waiting for this thing that there's no guarantee, right? Like you're waiting for something that might, I don't want to like condemn you guys, but maybe doesn't happen.
Yeah, I mean,
so
we're not as much waiting. Like we are trying many things, but it's just that all of them are going wrong. So as much as we are trying all of them, it's like, yeah, we're in a very rough spot. Yeah.
I think also it's something else that I want to highlight. Like when we were working together and we replaced Gilius and brought in Kikis, it wasn't necessarily the Kikis was like, oh, like he was great. He was doing good things for us. But in the end, I felt like also just because the dynamic changed and the dynamic shifted, everyone could kind of reinvent themselves in a way. and all of a sudden everyone was playing better because, just as you said, everything kind of clicked. It was like adding kickers gave us an opportunity to show what we were capable of. I think sometimes when the games are looking really, really rough, something small can go wrong, and all of a sudden you can't showcase all the things that you might be good at, or some things that you might have figured out. And I think this is also something that, for me, when I've been in a position that is rough, very, very frustrating as well. How do you feel about this in this year?
For sure, I think that's why, as much as we are in a rough spot, I'm not like too worried about what could come for summer. Let's say I think we can for sure turn things around. Like right now, it's rough for spring because mathematically it's rough. Like it's just impossible to come back from 1-11, I think. Even if we go 7-11, let's say maybe we can grab a tiebreaker. So maybe not completely, but that's why, as much as I think as well, the system changed, so it's a bit better for like focusing only on summer. So that's another good thing for us. But yeah, it's just reset everything and then play with confidence. I think it's gonna make us a way better team.
Do you think that's going to be like a massive shift now? Because always the topic is, and the conversation is like when teams, for example, Schalke, nothing to lose. Do you think this is going to help you guys and actually make you guys a force?
It could, yeah. But I'm not certain.
Of course, of course.
Yeah, it can.
That uncertainty is, I think, once again, just feels so difficult, even to watch from the outside. Like I can feel it. It's like this. I just feel like there's this tension around you, Cabo. That when you're winning, you feel so much looser. And I just feel like right now it's clearly just such a difficult time. And I'm sad that you're not going to get a reset, like a mid-split reset. That you're going to have to play out the rest of the split. Tough times. Maybe this is like the pressure release once you guys are out of contention for playoffs to just relax. But that you're going to have to go through the rest of the split, potentially have to wait until off season to really get a chance to reset your mental game and to really come back into summer, maybe with a different situation.
Yeah, but at the same time, maybe already now is the chance for us to turn things around, not for the spring split, as I said, but to make things better for summer. I think that's really the thing we have to focus on, and we will make sure to do it. We're not going to just wait the next 6 games and play them out. Even if the result is not going to make a difference for spring, it can make a difference for us mentally to have this different mindset going into summer.
I'm curious to see if it'll be kind of the success case for you. Like I want to believe, because the thing is I want to believe.
Faith. Yeah, like, I want to believe as well.
Because I don't want it to be this case where you guys can't find the solution. Because I think the thing is if teams are like scraping through and they have a path and they've figured out where they need to go to win and it's kind of the journey to get there, I think that's always satisfying to watch. But if you're just kind of floating around, trying to find out what's clicked, but not sure what's holding that back, I think that's just such a...
I mean, as well, I think we can still see growth, even though not in the results. For example, the yesterday games or early to mid-game transition went better. Like we are trading at the right place. It just... Sometimes we don't contest that wave well enough, and then the problem arises. But we saw growth in some games, but it's not like it's not going like this. It's like waves. So
I can't stress enough how crazy it is. Just like with what you're mentioning, is how clinical it becomes sometimes. It's like sometimes you can do so many things right, and that one small thing just sets you back, and then you're back on page 1. But in reality, there are a lot of good things, and I've been there many, many times for sure.
Yeah, very much a step-by-step process. Cabo, I kind of wanted to taking a step away from the team as a whole and kind of focusing on just you yourself, how you're feeling about individual performances, how you're feeling about your strength as an individual player. Because obviously when we see a lot of these games, like things go wrong on the team level, but laning phase usually looks fine. And I want to know, do you still feel like you're playing at the same level or better than you were last year when we saw you Urgot, Jace every game, kind of being this monster on the top side?
I mean, I still think I'm a really good player here. As much as I've not been able to show as much as I, for example, the whole last year, I think we as a team were better at playing around top lane, for example. So that made me show better than right now, for example. But as much as I'm certain that the players in the team are all really good. They came from the best in regional leagues, and yeah, the fact that we are not able to, I think, collect these early wins to get some confidence going on was a problem as well. We have the visa issue with
Milica, yeah.
Like second, I think the situation is pretty rough for him as well. He has to play in both the LFL and the LEC league every single week, and It's a tough split.
Yeah, circumstances have definitely not helped you whatsoever. The visa
but
issues.
it's really a learning process as much as it sounds cheesy. I think going 1-11 makes you feel things that you wouldn't feel if you go 6-6 and just end up in the 7th place. So it can be very beneficial for us.
Has it been beneficial for you? Because you're talking about the theory, but what's the actuality?
It has been for sure. I think I was like I felt really the losses like when we were 0-6. Like I've been 0-4, 0-5 a few splits. So I was like, okay, it's whatever. Like we can turn things around. We had in our mind the fact that Fnatic last year went 0-4 and they ended up 3rd. Like going 0-4 is really not a big deal. But then when you go 0-6, 0-8, like that starts, I think, create a mental burden. Yeah. So I had to completely step away from this, and I think it's been 2 weeks where I'm shifting from this and trying to get the good part and focusing on myself as well.
And I'm ready to see that progress in weeks to come. I hope you get that moment for the rest of the split, that you get that click and it all just snaps together and people are just popping off in every single lane and it feels coordinated. Because that's, one, it's a damn good story. But I guess we'll have to kind of just take it as it comes.
Yeah.
I want to take a look at the rest of the league. If we take a look at the standings now, obviously in the race for playoffs, Fnatic, Origin, G2, tied in first. We got Excel. Huge win earlier today against Mad Lions. I want to kind of get your take on the rest of the table and specifically this concept of the top 4, Cabo, because we've seen Fnatic, G2 Esports clearly up there. Origin, Misfits, Mad Lions, Rogues is kind of where it all gets a little bit messy for me. What's your take on the teams at the top of the table?
I would say the top 3 is like it's more top 3 than the top 4. I think the Misfits, Mad, Rogue is one step below, I would say. Eventually, one of them will end up in the top 4, but they are not on the same level right now, I think.
Do you think that was...
I didn't watch the XL game, so I'm not sure.
They had a really good level 1, and then it all kind of... They picked Olaf, and the Olaf lost to a Karthus jungle. That's pretty much all you need to know. But yeah. I think it's interesting that you say that, because now it feels very clear, but coming into the week, it was all like...
Yeah,
everybody
actually,
tied
there were 4 teams in
lines.
7-3, yeah, right.
Yeah.
I feel like finally, like the dust is settling on the meta. I think that was always like very different between every week, and I think a lot of the teams that figured out how to draft on the week first got a lot of, I don't want to say cheap, but kind of cheap best of 1 victories. And now I feel like now there wasn't too many changes.
Yumi Soraka.
Yeah, Yumi Soraka, and it's all over the place. Like Ornn was OP all along, and some teams figured out, some teams didn't. And there was the Senna prio, Senna coming back. And now I feel everything is kind of back to normal somehow. I think G2 Fnatic clearly above everyone else, and then Origin right behind, and then the rest. I think this is what it feels like the week has restored sanity for me.
Things can go as predicted. You can confidently predict G2 Fnatic and Origin again and be comfortable with it.
I mean, the Senna picks look really, really strong. I think right now the fact that you can make your support be as much of a member as like your top laner, let's say, because he's gonna farm as much, and you're still somewhat useful with shields and heals. I think that's what's very good with Senna right now.
I agree. I wonder if next week she's just permabanned or if we see the experimentation go deeper. Because I felt like it was really tame this week. It was the Tom Kench, it was the Taric, but we saw the Volibear and LCK, and I wonder like how wild are people going to get? Because that is
you can get pretty wild there, sure. Like I have the top laners, you can throw them in there and probably lane with Senna with no problems. We tried to like trade her for On, and I think it can be a good trade because On is just as OP when you have your 2 items and your team fight is very strong.
Especially on red side, I think Ornn, it's like super hard to blind pick mid, I think. And if top lane bans, if they don't pick top first 3, I think also it becomes harder. Like how do you blind pick mid lane? It's like LeBlanc, Syndra, all of them you don't want to play into Ornn, and it becomes kind of awkward. So I liked it, honestly. I liked it. It's better than just to throw away your bans into the bin. It's good.
Yeah. Appreciate the approach to the game, the strategy, the prep. I'm waiting, Cabo. I swear to God, next week when you pop off, I'm so ready because I remember the times in the past. Yes, I like it when it's close. I like that weird split we had where like everyone was 6-6, tied at this week. But that's past. It's this year. We'll see how it plays out. Currently, though, in the Kia Player of the Game leaderboard, Perkz is leading ahead of Finn and Xerxes. We check in now on the rankings. You can loosely see them behind me and now entirely on your screen. It is important to note, in the event of ties, the player with the highest amount of votes will come out on top. So Perkz in the lead for now. But overall, I mentioned it before, I'm getting my Vitality fanboy out now because this is my one chance to do it. I suspect we may see some different names.
Send it straight for Cabo.
Send it straight
I'm
to
pretty
Cabo.
sure on next 6 games I'm gonna get 4.
Bam, bam, bam.
Sejuani is back, huh? Sejuani Camille, Sejuani Renekton, I want to see it.
But don't leave too much. You don't want enemies to have a viable
come on,
strategy.
man.
Oh,
against it.
sorry.
How do I play next week now?
We'll have to find out. Well, the LEC is going to return next Friday for more action as Cabochard and Vitality kick off the week along with Rogue. And as we look at the schedule, I mean, you can kind of see behind you here. It's going to be an interesting week. We got Origin G2, and I believe we have Fnatic G2 as well.
Yeah, it's the match of the week, huh? That's a crazy game.
So, Cabo, I do want to get your take. You already said top 5. Yamato, you said kind of Fnatic G2 above OG pretty clearly. But is this just the week where like G2 comes back and smashes everybody, or are you a believer that Fnatic is currently the top team, as Yamato said earlier in the day? I'm putting you under the bus, I'm sorry.
Really? You said that, Yamato?
He said at this moment. To be clear, he said at this moment. I did try to throw you under the bus there. At this moment, Fnatic #1. But do you think that's the case? Do you think G2 are going to win next week?
I think G2 will win next week.
All right. That was very succinct.
I'm in the G2
Just because
camp.
Yamato said Fnatic.
No, come on, man. That's so unfair, man. I'm in the G2 camp as well. Because even though Fnatic has been good and coming out of last week, they looked like the best because G2 kind of looked all over the place. Now G2 seems recollected. The Senna is back, means G2 is
Perks
back.
is having a phenomenal split, but I'm not sure how much they consider the roles for back in case they keep having losses, but I'm pretty certain they will end up winning.
Yeah. The whole split?
The whole split, I'm not sure.
Oh.
But next week, I think they will.
I mean, come on. They were close best of 5s last time, and now they're, well, let's be honest, I think strictly weaker, at least in terms of net results so far. However, that's going to be all from us here in Week 6 of the LEC. But across the Atlantic, LEC is about to start with FlyQuest versus Cloud9. Will Cloud9 finally lose a game? We're going to find out if you want to tune in there over at twitch.tv/LEC. But we're going to be back next Friday in Berlin for more action. We'll see you then.
Good to see you, brother.
Dana wants to move his way to the back line. It's going to be a lot of healing now coming out. That's a big combo. Razor's looking for the follow-up. Been flashing into the front line. Sakura does nothing. Just walks face first into his own death. And that's just the right amount of range to find that kill. They won't find the follow-up, but now Excel can look to turn the fight, but the suplex is there. The dunk is there. Arome is there into the back line. Big haymaker. That's going to be a sleepy Aphelios. Shot out right on top. The double kill for the Olaf. Oh, Spec running in. Dash through. Going to find the stun immediately on the Kaiser. Wants to pick off the weakest member first. Mickey going in. He's going to have to reset. Leaps onto Humanoid. That's easy. And instantly Excel are right back in the driver's seat. 2 for 1, actually.
I don't think it's over yet, Dragos.
Dreams, though. The knockup comes through. Oda in with the pullback. He's healing up a decent amount. Nemesis, though, trying to take him down. The Rek'Sai coming through. Lorax trying to get something done. The tunnel out to safety. Whipple walks face first in the base. They don't want to risk this one. Reckless just going to grab one more kill. Dreams just next on the list. Oh, the push-ups. The BM, the sit-ups for Whippo.
Nuke gets away from the tower aggro, and now it's just Vanderjump. His life for the zoomies. Nuke's gonna die. Nuke's gonna die to the cat. Take a slap to the back, and Finn can only walk wounded back to the fountain. It will heal him up, but it won't heal their hopes of winning this game. Origin tops the table at the end of week 6.
In 5 seconds, I will say, please start the game.
No,
3,
he will say,
2, 1,
he will say,
0.
Wonder, please start the game. Say the magic words. Say it.
He's saying it. He was saying the
Wonder,
words.
please start the game.
They're just chasing Wonder. I see 1, do I see 2, do I see 2? You do see 2, you do? Comet goes out, the PPG, no, let's go for it. But in the end, they will. There we go. Goes Jack Troll, the bullet time comes out and cancels already dead. Wonder now on the back line, the Dazzle's gonna come out and Jack Troll should ball. Combo